Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me again. So whether you've seen the other videos or not, we're continuing on with the stairs project. In this video, what we'll be doing is creating some custom spindles out of some birch ply. So I've bought 2 sheets of 24mm birch ply and we'll be glued together with wood glue, and then we'll be cutting them into spindles. So the spindles will be approximately 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters square, and then we'll be putting them in from floor to ceiling following the stair line up. So we've got some Gorilla Glue, which is wood glue specific for the material that we need, and then what we're going to do, lay them flat on top of each other, compress them down, and then we will use a circular saw to cut them down. Then we'll sand them, and then we can look at installing them. But this is the birch ply. At the minute the camera probably is not doing it the greatest justice, but you kind of got this effect which will look really nice once laminated together. And this is a BB/BB grade, which is a pretty good grade. It is designed to have a perfect face on one side at least, and on the other side approximately 2 to 4 I think patches. And what I mean by patches are these little squares. They do add to the character. They're not what I was looking for in this particular project, but it's fine because the other side of this board is perfectly clear. There is no issues with it. It is a nice clear piece of veneer sheet, and they get exactly the same again on the other side. So what we'll do, we'll lay these down and then we can look at gluing them together. Right, so this is the glue that I've got. Gorilla wood glue, really good stuff. We're going to spread it nice and thin and evenly across the sheets. We should be okay with not having to really apply much weight to it, but because we're cutting it down in strips, we do need to make sure it's as even as possible, because we don't want to miss gaps and then it delaminates as they're cut down into pieces. We'll leave those, let that set overnight, and then once ready we can in the morning get it on some stilts, so we can now start putting those together as spindles. So they'll start from here, and the first 3 will go up into the ceiling, and then the next will go across a beam that will be in place here, and we'll be making that out of this sheet of ply, which is an 18mm ply. As a raw material, it's got quite a lot of character in my personal opinion. A lot of people perhaps wouldn't choose it, but I think once it is cut down into pieces and then you've got this nice contrast on the sides, it will really stand out, which we'll like anyway. So yeah. So as you can see from the first line, this didn't quite go to plan. Unfortunately, my circular saw just was not strong enough. So my neighbour, who's helped me with quite a few bits and pieces, so a massive shout out to him, provided me his circular saw, which was much more robust, and we were able to get a much cleaner line with cutting these spindles. So big shout out to my neighbour on this one, and we were able to get those done. Right, so we've applied the tester coat to the plank. As you can see, the colour difference there. Really happy with it. Brings it out a little bit darker. Really brings out the side grains as well, which is a nice touch. So yeah, I'm happy to go ahead. This oil is amazing. A bit of sweat just dropped on it, it just rolled straight off. With regards to the spindles, what we're doing is we are placing a sheet of birch ply, which will go across here where you see these 2 supports. Then we're going to have a sheet that comes out, and that's what's going to attach to the spindles. The section that comes out is going to be in line with this, so it's not going to be below, it's going to be exactly in line. So this section of timber has to be moved up by 18mm. Okay, so I've brought some of the spindles indoors ready to go in place. I have sanded this and underneath. I've taken this backboard off, so that's not going to look like that. There's going to be another one that's going to slot into there. You may have seen it before temporarily. For now, what we're going to do is mark the point exactly where we need to drill through in order to screw into the board here. It needs to be precise as possible because we don't want the screw popping out up here, we don't want it popping down there, it needs to be invisible. So very important that we get this bit right. In order to get the exact width perfect every time, we have these two blocks which measure 8.3 centimeters. Just stick one at the bottom, push it in, stick one, well, at the top, but for now I'll put it there, and then clamp it, and then onto the next one, and then we're good to go. And then we'll just keep following that process all the way along until we've got our spindles all lined up at the top and all lined up at the bottom. We need to drill the holes in order to countersink the screws. We don't want the screw head sticking out, we want it sunk into the spindles. So I've been testing around on this block, and I used initially the wood drill bit. I wasn't happy with this bit because it started splitting the ends. So I've decided that this is the best option. Now it comes up relatively clean, but not 100% perfect. I'd say it's probably about 95% perfect. So what I've done is I've actually just done a full block with a complete hole straight down the middle. So what I can then do is place this on top of the spindle and then drill straight through this to the top, which will then prevent this from happening, it basically splitting off and fraying on the top. So we want it nice and clean. This side is where it's poked through, so after it's come through, it's basically pulled it off that side. But we're not using this all the way through. What we'll be doing is countersinking this one about I'd probably say between 5 and 10 mil in, and then we will be taking over with just a normal drill bit for the actual screws. The reason we're doing this is because this is a 10 mil countersink wood bit, which is exactly the same width as the nail head. So then when we screw the nail head, it will just sink in ever so slightly, like so, as we want. And then if at a later stage we can decide that we can put plug over it, or glue, sawdust, sand it down. We do have a bag of this stuff left over, so or we can just have it exposed with its raw material like that. So I think at first we're just gonna have it exposed with the raw material. I kind of like it. So we are using some 8mm screws, full thread, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to use the normal drill for now because it's a bit late. So I'm not going to use the impact driver, but we've pre-drilled our holes. So we'll put our screws in. So now we're going to do the next one. What I've done is I've done some new supports that are going to go between, just so we know that each spindle is the exact same distance apart. So from the bottom angle, as you can see, we've got the first 4 in. We've not drilled them in at the bottom yet, we've literally just pinned them at the top. So they are still, I mean, they're pushed to the floor, so there's not much movement on them. But yeah, so far so good. I'm now just gonna drill these ones up here. Now for these two, what I've done is I've double bolted them to give them extra support. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill the top holes to hide those, and then we've got the bottom holes which will remain. They keep in line central, and then we'll see how it looks. But we have to double bolt these ones anyway, just to give that extra support, because we don't want to rock in. And now it's just stabilised and we'll clamp them nice and tight to the walls. And because these are bolted at the bottom and the top, the central ones just give it that extra rigidity. And then what we'll do is we're just going to now pre-drill the holes for these ones, just to make sure that everything is nice and in line. Right guys, so we are doing the ceiling joist now. So as you can see, what I've done is I've clamped it at the bottom. So we're actually be using 2 support brackets which go directly into the ceiling. So this is currently screwed in to the timber, and then we're going to have a second one on this side. So there's going to be 2 to stop it from twisting, but we're just doing the first one for now, then we'll crack on with the second one. Now as you can see, what I've done is I've clamped my spirit level to the timber as to where it needs to be, so it's that gap. Now I am going to be moving this spindle in about 5 mil, so I need my screw holes to be just this side of it, but it gives me an indication of the spindle being directly straight and in line with the rest, bearing in mind that we do have plasterboard which is 12 mil, so that hence why we're pushing it in to make sure it goes directly through the joist and has a good support either sides. Perfectly in line with the others, really happy with that. So now we'll just put the second support in, make sure it's extra stiff, because this is obviously going to get a bit more of a knock-in than the other ones. But yeah, look, I mean that's holding because it's pretty tight, so as you can see, that is literally floating off the floor. Right, so with this one, we can actually bolt this one into the ceiling. So we've got one bolted into the support, one bolted into the ceiling. They'll interact against each other, and then yeah, hopefully it all goes as the plan. Just press it in, and that will leave an indentation on the spindle as to where it needs to be, so we know it's flat against the stringer, and now we know exactly where we need to screw it in, because it's just left a small indentation at the top of the spindle. We are now putting in the next 2 spindles. Now the first spindle was fine because it was running on a joist that runs that way. The next ones are running on joists that run this way. So all of the joists run straight down the property this way. Now the most annoying thing is that the next joist runs about here, which as you can see misses the spindle. So what I've done is I've put the spindle in place as to where it needs to be, and then I've drilled through 4 holes at the corners of where the spindles are, so I know on the other side of the floor where the brackets need to be. So the spindles are lined up ready to go. So what we'll do, we'll head upstairs so you can see where we need to drill and install our brackets. So we're upstairs. As you can see, I've already cut out the hole, and you can see where the joist is. We know where the outside of the spindles are and going to be. So what I've got is this bracket. This is an L bracket. What we're going to do is we're going to bolt it on to the wall, and then we can drill in to the spindles into the joist. Into the spindles from the top. So, and then we can screw them in, and then they're going to be solid in to the bracket. And I know that this bracket won't move because we're going to make sure it's in there nice and tight. So now we can put our screws in. I've just checked to make sure that it is in line downstairs still, and it is, which is perfect. So let's get it drilled in. Right, we've just done the first one. We'll go and check it, make sure everything's all right. Right, so the first spindle is in. It is solid. I'm happy with it. I've drilled the holes here for the second spindle to go in. So we'll now get this mounted to the wall with the same process and style. Right, okay, so that is the new noggins in, and I've put this floorboard back for now. It's broken up. I don't recommend this at all. I would recommend getting a new piece, so squaring up, getting a new piece and putting it in as one whole section, as it would be stronger with less joint breaks. And obviously you want it tongue and grooved. It doesn't need to be tongue and grooved, obviously, because we've cut a section at the middle. It's not going to be. We got our noggins at the ends, so they're perfectly fine. Now this is perfectly stable to walk on, it's just not a great long-term solution. So what I'll do, I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I will cut out a new section and put it in as one long panel, and that will be much tidier, but effectively you get the gist of what we've done here. We've installed the spindles to the ceiling, they've been anchored in, and we've put new noggins in to support the frame and support the floorboard where we've cut that section out, so we know that it's nice and stable under there. So yeah, okay, I know what you're thinking, so where's the final product? Well, you're gonna have to wait till the next episode for that, which I promise you will come soon. But what I'd like you to do is to like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so your help would be much appreciated. But this one is going to be worth it, I promise you. So I'll see you in the next one.